Cypress Fairbanks Independent School District presents the de-escalation strategies on demand. We just finished discussing crisis and a few strategies to help manage the environment. Now it's time to start sharing a few strategies to regain control and return the student to the learning environment. After there has been a crisis, we want to regain control. Now, this step can be tricky and time-consuming. Please keep in mind that the student can go back into a crisis, depending on what you say and how you handle the situation. For instance, try to avoid making promises or deals with the student. You also want to avoid rehashing the event that just took place. This is the time to look for opportunities to support the student. And don't rush the situation. I know the bell is about to ring. I know you told that coworker or that parent to hold on for a minute, but that 1 minute has now turned into 21 minutes of savage behavior that you've been witnessing. During the de-escalation period, allow time for the student's body to normalize. If the student is yelling, pacing, fist pumping, or giving you clues that they are still angry, they need more time to regain control. The student may want to eat, sleep, or just sit quietly. When the student is ready, they'll talk. And when you listen, don't look surprised if the crisis was over 50 cents or something that you think is minor. Every student responds differently after a crisis. Some students and some teachers make things worse when the temperature is hot and emotions are high. It's far better to stabilize things before jumping immediately into intervention. Lower the temperature first. Speaking of lowering the temperature, just let it go. What I mean is, start fresh, each day, each class period. Avoid bringing up things from the past or bringing it up to other people. Another very important strategy in stabilization is to teach. Under stress, young people often experience irrational self-talk that drives self-defeating behavior. We should help young people examine and change their irrational self-talk in order to bring about real changes in their behavior once the student is calm. Now is not the time to lecture. Instead, we should reconnect the student with their learning environment by giving the student an opportunity to right their wrongs. This might include a verbal apology, a written note, some cleaning up, who knows? Problem solve with the student. Listen to their side of the story. Empower them to think creatively, just in case the similar situation arrives. Be open to adaptations. It might not be exactly the way you imagined it would be, but remain open to their actions and opinions. I've been doing a lot of talking, and some of you might be thinking what I'm about to ask Polly. What do you do when they keep escalating?
When a child escalates, stop talking. There's a novel idea. This is management. When they start escalating, shut it down. The more you talk, the more they're coming back at you. The more that you respond to their, I love this one. Child, you tell them to sit down. This is a perfect example. I've seen this happen. Sit in this chair. Kid goes like this. And then you explode, right? Because you wanted them to sit over there. You ever get that chippy kid and says, well, you said sit in this chair. You didn't say where. And you just want to strangle him. At that point, what would you do? He's playing me. He's playing me like the entire band. At that point, I'm not going to say anything. It's going to sound really weird, but I'm not going to say anything. Because he's sitting there and he's doing this, going. I'm going to do my best to pick myself up by the bootstraps, say nothing, and I'm going to walk over here and I'm going to help you and I'm going to help you and I'm going to help you. Oh, I'm going to get to him, hands down. But it's all about timing. If I say something at that moment, like I meant over there, move the chair over there. Oh, move the chair over there. Okay. Hey, everybody. And then they take the chair and do this. Boom! And now you're on fire. Sometimes we got to remember that we light ourselves up when we don't necessarily have to. So at this point, I'm going to let them keep that upper hand until I have the opportunity to reel them in. So when the bell rings, if it's an older child or it's the end of it's a normal transition, we're going to art, whatever, that's when I'm reeling you in. It's all about timing. So they're on their way out the door. I'm like, whoa, hold on. You and I need to chat. And I always find that when I pull that kid aside one-on-one and chat with them, I actually get a lot better response than if I started the argument in the middle of the class. Sometimes I'll say to him on the way out the door, I'll say, hey, you know what, Michael, that was not okay what you did. We really do need to talk about this, and we'll talk about that tomorrow at this time, which is sometimes 2:15, which is sometimes during their free time, which is sometimes whatever. I'll take away their time. I find that whenever I want to address a child, I want to address them on their time because that's a consequence. If the behavior escalates, then I walk over and I have a script in my mind. If I manage this kid by not saying anything, chances are they're going to be like, they don't like that. They don't like that at all because their sole purpose is to disrupt that class. So they escalated on me. At that point, I will turn around and I'll say 2 words, stop immediately. If they stop, I'm good. If they don't, that's when I have to utilize resources. But kids need to know at every moment when I'm going to utilize a resource, they know the resource is going to happen. They know that they're going to go wherever, the person is going to show up. Whatever it might be, it has to happen every single time. I had a little one who trashed the classroom for a while, and teacher was really good about if the kid took all their books and threw them on the floor. Teacher was really good about saying, managing it and just kind of going and pulling all the other kids together. But then the kid would escalate it and start pulling books off the shelf, pulling the bulletin board apart. And at that point, it was a stop immediately. And if the child continued, a call was made, a very quick call was made that said, we got a 22 and a 5, whatever. And someone came, escorted the child out, and they sat in a desk with no entertainment, with no coloring books, no materials, no nothing. And they spent a good amount of the rest of that time on that day sitting there because they had to realize that was not okay. And then when we put the classroom together, picked everything up, we left a section of that for that child to clean up. When the child came back to the class the next day, that was their job. Before you go out to recess, this is the stuff that has to be cleaned up, or later that day, depending upon the schedule and what, if it's elementary, middle, high school, whatever. But we always, always, always want to hold the child accountable in some way. Not dismiss it, like don't clean up the room for them. And if we have to clean up the room because we have to go on to another class, make sure the consequence is that they have to do a task somewhere in that building. Your job is to give back to the community. Bring it back to your values. If a child violates community, they have to give back to community. If they disrupt my classroom to the point where they have to be removed, they go to a social isolation, which is your ISI. But the consequence is still going to come from me. That's important to me. If the consequence continues to come from the administration or somebody else, it makes no connection to me. However, if a kid hits the high note behaviors, the tier 3 behaviors, those are no-brainers. You get into a fight, you bite, you spit, you trash a room, administration's going to get involved. However, the consequence is going to come right back to our having a connection.
Building relationships with young people is essential for creating a positive and effective learning environment. When they feel supported, understood, and valued, they're more likely to engage in this life learning lesson of de-escalation. My name is Percy Gilliam, and this has been my pleasure. Thank you for your time.